Right then, Cardiff City World. This is one of those games where you can feel the edge through your screen. Bradford at the Valley Parade, top of the table energy. A home crowd that starts fast and loud. A Bradford side that already has beaten us 3-1 at the Cardiff City Stadium. Today, we're doing it properly. This is the tactical showdown. Brian Barry Murphy versus Graham Alexander 2. We're looking at the philosophies, the structures, the personnel, and we're answering that one big question. How do Cardiff avoid repeating the same story in a stadium where Bradford will come out like a train? Let's get into it. Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to the Tactical Showdown. It is a Friday night where we delve in manager versus manager, philosophy versus philosophy, tactics v tactics, and we look at it deep. Now, quick promise before I get into it. This isn't going to be, they wanted it more vibes cliches. That's just not what it is. So, telling you that up front. What it is going to be is what Bradford did tactically well at the Cardiff City Stadium, why Max Power dictated the rhythm, why Cardiff did actually create chances but still lost, why Cardiff's rest defence is way better now than it was previously, why we're still switching off at set pieces, and the big tactical dilemma that Brian Barry Murphy faces ahead of tomorrow's game, which is, does he go with a number 10 with Kellyman and Ruben injured? Or does he go for a bit more of an old school 4-3-3 or even another system? This is what we are looking at. This is what we do. This is the tactical showdown. So, first up, the reverse fixture, what really happened. So, obviously, we did a full, deep video on this yesterday, looking at what Cardiff need to do to fix. So, there'll be a little bit of crossover, but this is only a brief little bit of this video. Let's rewind. First meeting, Cardiff City Stadium, final score, Cardiff 1, Bradford 3. And when people hear that, the assumption is Bradford battered us. But there's a bit more to it, tactically. In terms of expected goals, for instance, it was actually really close. Cardiff's expected goals that day were 2.03. Bradford's was 2.18. Tells a very different story to the score, right? The basic shot profile tells you the same story. It wasn't one-way traffic humiliation at home. Cardiff had 16 shots. Bradford had 17. Cardiff had way more of the ball. So the real story is not we didn't create chances or we were very, very poor. The story is Bradford created the right kind of chances in the right moments and they were ruthless. Now, Cardiff had phases, we had spells, we had big chances, but we didn't turn the control into kill shots. So that'll be the theme of today. Why Bradford caused us problems with an S. So let's talk about Bradford's heart, because Bradford's game, especially in these big away fixtures, often comes down to one question. Can you stop them playing through the middle and getting it out wide quickly at a real high tempo? And that the player that really dictated everything for them and has done for a lot of this season is Max Power. Now, even on the season data, FootMob has got Max Power as one of Bradford's top performers. He rates around 7.38 out of 10. He's one of their key creators. I think he's got 5 assists. He's a real quality footballer. Now, this tells you his role. He's not a destroyer, he's a controller, he's a metronome. He decides when to speed it up, when to go direct, when to recycle, when to hit those wide areas early. And if Cardiff let Power get comfortable, if they let Bradford play Bradford football, then you could see another game like the home game. let's talk about Bradford's patterns of play, and one particularly which I thought they did really, really well against us, and that was into the striker's feet, first time round the corner and behind Cardiff's fullbacks. Now, here's a pattern that actually, like I said, it really hurt Cardiff City. But I'm also happy to bring it up because I think what Bradford did often gets a bit criticised in modern football. Into the striker's feet, not hold it, not look to recycle it, to bounce it. It was bounced off him, one touch, round the corner for the fullback. It's into the striker's feet, first time round the corner, in behind the fullback, turn the defence around, wingers on the move, and suddenly Cardiff are facing their own goal. Bradford are in behind and looking really, really dangerous. This is classic, direct, but clever pattern. But in modern football, sometimes direct is frowned upon. When people hear direct, they think long ball, lump it up. These were quality passes into a striker who makes a dynamic movement to drop deep, and then he plays a pitch perfect pass round the corner. Sometimes first time, sometimes he'll have to control it, but it's round the corner behind the fullback, and because Cardiff's fullbacks are always looking to jump, the wingers are in. And I think it's why Bradford sometimes look direct, but I don't think in any ways they're a long ball team. They're not lumping it up. They're pinning you back and they're playing around you. And this is where Max Power matters, because he's the one that makes those passes arrive on time, the right weight, the right angle, the right, just everything, just to be able to play. And you can have it back, but they look to get it in behind you and turn you round. Does the Valley Parade change things? And look, Bradford at home are not going to be polite. They're not going to let us play. They're not going to let us get comfortable. It's not going to be a sterile game. They will start fast. They will throw bodies forward early. They will use the crowd or try to get the crowd up. They will try and make the first 10, 15 minutes feel like a storm for Cardiff. We saw Leyton Orient do it to Cardiff last week and get their rewards when they forced a mistake. And it matters because Cardiff, under BBM, is all about control, rhythm, pass, move, creating overloads, and then trying to accelerate when you get into the final third. If Bradford disrupts you and your rhythm early, then you don't just win duels. They win the headspace. They win the mental game early on. The crowd is loud, and suddenly that young Cardiff team starts to get a bit frantic and a bit frenetic on the ball. And we saw it in the Leyton Orient game. We never fully had the same control and composure that we usually get. So Cardiff need to plan for that first 15 minutes, not just tactically, but mentally. They need to be prepared to deal with it. And then let's talk about a slightly more Cardiff-centric element, and probably a much more positive element, I think, as well. And probably absolute credit to Brighton Barry Murphy, because he saw this issue early in the season and he dealt with it. And that's Cardiff's big progress in their rest defence. And again, I give Cardiff credit for this because it is a big improvement. We are much tighter defensively overall anyway than we were earlier in the season. And the big reason for that is rest defence. For anyone not familiar, anyone new, rest defence is basically how well are you set up behind the ball when you're attacking. It's to protect you from transition. So if you lose it and your fullbacks are high, when you're in the opposition half and the opponent breaks, you've got some sort of structure to slow them down, to delay it, to defend it. Earlier in the season, Cardiff got caught open every week. We were conceding 15 to 20 shots a week at one point. Now we're seeing structure. Ryan Winsell stays connected. The centre-backs are not getting dragged too far forward, and the gaps between these players are not too small. The number 8, who's been Alex Robertson of late, is not right up on the next to Yusuf Salic like we were at the start of the season. Like at the start of the season, we almost played with 2 hybrid 10s who were 8s in Ruben and, say, Joel, but they were right up with Salic, and it just left us wide open. The distances between the units are tighter. The midfield, the wingers, the fullbacks, the centre-backs, it's all a bit tighter, and we're stopping counter-attacks a bit earlier. Now, that is a massive progression point for a young manager to spot, and not just spot it, but deal with it. we do still have a problem that still is going on, and that is set pieces and switch it off. But even with better rest defence, there's one thing that can undo everything: set pieces. Cardiff still have moments where that organisation, that concentration, that focus, that application, not every time, but enough that it's been a common theme through the season, does go. And when you go to a place like Bradford, where the home side will treat every corner, free kick, throw in like a weapon, that's a danger. So for Cardiff, it's don't just defend the set piece, defend the second ball, defend the next phase of play, keep the line disciplined, communicate to each other, because Bradford will target that. They will know. The amount of footage and video that's available to people these days, and stats and analysis, they will know that we have conceded goals from set pieces by switching off. We conceded one against them by switching off. Weeks and months later, Doncaster scored almost identical goal. So Cardiff must address it. And I do think if we can address it, defensively we've been very good. It cost us against Wickham. Sloppy goal from a corner lets them back in the game when we were absolutely playing superb football away from home. Let's talk about Cardiff's offensive elements. Cardiff create chances. And this is the story of the XG of the season. Now, this is a big theme for sure. Cardiff create a lot of chances. On FootMob's League One table for XG, Cardiff are right at the top. That means that Cardiff have created the most high quality chances to score a goal. Cardiff's numbers show that they should have scored 30.6 goals, but they've actually scored 36. That matters because it tells you this isn't a lucky team scraping results. We're creating high quality chances. However, we've also created the most amount of big chances. I think Jamie said it was 53 big chances through the season. However, we haven't converted those. So what we have to do is make sure that we do convert the chances when they come. But it does matter. Cardiff are generating a promotion level, title winning level of chances, and individual XG contributions that we talked about on last night's show. Salic is way out in front. Of course, he's the number 9. He's the clear focal point of the team. So the system under Brian Barry Murphy, it works. But football does not give a shit about your XG, your possession stats, or anything else if you don't finish your dinner. And here's where the reverse fixture is a big warning. Cardiff generated a 2.03 XG, meaning they should have scored 2 goals. But they still lost 3-1. So the message is simple. Create chances, yeah. But you have to be ruthless. Because Bradford, they will be. So let's get to the philosophies. BBM versus Alexander 2. Now, when you put the managers head to head, BBM's philosophy we know. Likes to dominate the ball, likes to manipulate the shape of the game through movement off the ball, build rhythm, and then punch through the lines with quick triangles and combinations. Alexander's philosophy is a good structure, aggressive, everyone's got clarity in their roles, and then a quick progression into dangerous zones. This isn't tiki-taka versus old school football by any stretch, but it is control v disruption. The middle of the pitch, that central zone, is where this game is going to be decided, which brings us right into what I think is Brian Barry Murphy's most interesting selection option. The number 10. Ruben Colwell, injured. Omari Kellyman is a doubt with a groin issue. So if Brian Barry Murphy does play with a 10, which he usually does, who is it going to be? And I love this part because there's no perfect answer. They all give you different elements. But it is about what Brian Barry Murphy wants from this role. Option number 1, Joel Colwell. You want work rate, you want a bit of intelligence, and someone who can do the dirty work as well as be the connector. Then I think Joel is the guy. He can also sit on max power at certain phases and do a job like we've seen Ruben do so many times defensively. Not man marking like a lunatic, but being close enough to him to make him uncomfortable, to make him rush and not allow him to dictate the game. Option 2, Callum Robinson. If you want a threat between the lines, a directness, a goal scorer, He's your guy. Robinson will gamble. He'll be close to Salic. He will run. He will rotate. And he will make Bradford defend. But you might sacrifice a little bit of defensive control in that number 10 zone. Option 3, Chris Willock, maybe a bit outside the box, but if you want ball retention and clever dribbles and the ability to draw fouls and score and create, Chris Willock often looks more like a 10 than a winger. He drifts in off that left. He can go both ways. He's a very talented footballer who's really stepped up this year. He can slow the game down. He can speed it up. He can reset that rhythm. He can play off 1-2 touch. He can carry the ball. But can he do that out of possession, discipline stuff that you need in the central areas for 90 minutes? That's the question. Option 4, Kean Ashford. If you want energy, you want pressing, you want athletic disruption, but really intelligent movement off the ball, Ashford could absolutely do the job sitting on power. He'll do it. He's disciplined. He works hard. He's all about the team because he's got the legs, the aggression to do it. But he can also create. That's his position that he doesn't very rarely get an opportunity to play in. He can carry the ball in tight spaces. He can play off 2 touches. His movement to create space for others is really underrated. But he's also good at little 1-2s and slipping the ball in behind for Yusuf Salic could be a weapon. And lastly, a little bit of an outside the box one. But how's about Isaac Davis? Get him close to Salic. Utilise his pace. Maybe Salic was the one that drops a little bit deeper to win flick-ons, and Davis is playing off the last man. Really, really pushing and using his pace and putting Bradford under pressure. But this is the question. Do you pick the number 10 for creativity? Do you go with an all-out number 10? Or do you pick a number 10 as a tactical weapon to win the battle in the middle? Or do you even pick the number 10 as more of a second striker and really go for Bradford? If BBM decides that he doesn't like any of those trade-offs, there is an alternative, and that's a change of system. The alternative is an old school 4-3-3. Then, this is the alternative that I'm talking, right? And I think it's genuinely on the table. We saw it last week when Kellyman went off, and it's just a proper old school 4-3-3. Instead of a number 10, you go Wintle as the 6, and you have 2 number 8s either side. So the names you've got, Alex Robertson, I think, picks himself. He's been excellent, technically good, aggressive, wins his duels, but creative and breaks lines with his running. Always looks to up the tempo by pass, move, pass, move. He's a non-negotiable for me. He's in. If you're going to go with this system, then you're looking at Joel Colwell. Gives you more control, gives you energy, gives you a real box-to-box feeling, midfield. If it's going to be a chaotic game, if it's going to be a lot of duels and battles, he's probably your guy. Gives you those legs. But does the manager maybe want a bit more craft? A bit more composure on the ball? Maybe less intensity in the pure scrappy moments, in the duels, but he'll give you composure on the ball. He'll retain possession of the ball and recycle it, and has the ability to, get a shot off or play intelligent balls in behind, but maybe doesn't have that legs and energy of Joel Colwell. But the logic with the 4-3-3 is simple. Bradford will try to win the midfield battle through power and the like, and then get the ball in behind Cardiff to their wingers. So Cardiff could respond by saying, fine, we'll go 3 in there and we'll match you. We'll win the second balls, we'll control the transitions, and then we'll release our wide players. Give it to Tanner, give it to Davis, Willock, whoever it may be. This is where this tactical showdown gets a bit spicy, because Brian Barry Murphy is not married to one formation. They train 3 at the back at the start of the season. He's married to the principles of any system, and he expects control, possession, pass, move, rotations, all the patterns of play that we've come to see week in, week out. But he will change the formation if need be. The principle here is, do we go with, don't let Bradford make the middle of their pitch their home? Do we let them, or do we try to stop them taking control of the game? Or do we look at trying to hurt them in a different way by being a bit more aggressive? It's an interesting one. And on that, let's look at how Cardiff can hurt Bradford. And attacking Bradford is an interesting one. because I think Bradford will start fast. There will be moments, especially early, where our defensive line is high and their wide players are flying in behind, and that creates space, and particularly behind those fullbacks. And I think sometimes either side of those centre-backs. But Cardiff need to punish that with early diagonals out to the wingers, quick third-man runs from the likes of Joe Bagan, Perry Ng, Alex Robertson, Joel Colwell, decisive final passes when they do get in the final third. One thing we did really well in the first game was we put early crosses into the box. We created chances from that for Salic, for Ashford, where we got it to Joe Bagan and he whipped the ball in. No messing about, no recycling it back and trying to work the perfect goal. Get in the wide areas, put it in the box. And that I really liked. We've seen Cardiff generate excellent XG numbers across the season. So the chance creation should come if we're patient. But again, I really believe the first goal matters in this game. If Cardiff score first, you just change the mood in the stadium a little bit. If Bradford score first, they have the momentum. But they also have that stat that they very, very rarely lose at home if they score first. However, records are there to be broken. Stats are there to be changed. And it's football. On any given day, anything can happen. Let's have a quick look at the January twist, if you like. Newcastle loans and the players that Bradford have brought in. And it's a bit of a tactical wrinkle, although I don't think it'll make a massive difference to the starting 11s. Bradford have added a couple of options this week, a couple of loans. Joe White, Harrison Ashby have come in. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly how Graham Alexander's going to use them without seeing their lineup. But I think they give him more legs, they give him quality on the ball, and they give him depth to maintain that intensity. Add in that they also signed Ethan Wheatley, who's an intelligent signing, and I think it can definitely give them options as the season goes on. I don't think either one will start. Maybe White might, but I don't think they'll start. I could be wrong. Ethan Wheatley looks like he's out, which is a good. He gave Will Fish a bit of a game earlier in the season for Northampton. So, look, it's another reason Cardiff cannot assume that Bradford are going to fade late in the game, because Bradford will bring on subs and they have a bit of depth. We have to go for 97 minutes. So let's look at the out of possession side for Cardiff. What are the key things for Cardiff out of possession? Well, number one, do not let Max Power dictate the game. Don't have to man mark him, but it has to be smart pressure. Close the passing lanes, lock him on for weaker angles, force him to recycle it and go backwards and force him wide. Number two, win the first duel and then the second. Second balls are massive because Bradford's pattern rely on that bounce pass and then the runners. So get in tight and win it. But don't give away silly free kicks like we did in the first game to allow the game to be disrupted and stop our rhythm. Protect the fullbacks, number three, because Bradford love that into the striker behind the channel. So Joe Bagan, Perry Ng need to be aware of that ball. Number four is no-brainer. Set-piece concentration. Don't give away silly corners and free kicks for a start, but let's be no ball watching, fully focused. Make sure that the application is there from every individual, but also collectively. Cardiff have improved massively from open play, defensively. But they need to keep that standard for set pieces. Don't gift Bradford goals. If Bradford score, make them work for it. Let's look at what Bradford will try to do to us. And Bradford's plan, I think, is relatively clear. They're going to try and get the crowd up for it. They're going to start fast. They're going to try and make it emotional. They're very, very, very good at the dark arts of, cheap free kicks, going down to break up teams' momentum. They're very good at just disrupting the game to when they want it. They will look to disrupt Cardiff's rhythm in every way possible and then punish the moments that Cardiff lose structure, lose focus, or just lose their shape. They will press in waves, but it'll be intelligent pressing. They will force you to play quicker than you want to. They will try to turn the game into one where the decisions are being rushed. So Cardiff's biggest weapon, actually, especially early on, will be patience, will be composure, but most of all will be concentration. Don't make any silly mistakes. Don't take any silly risks, but don't have slow possession just for the sake of it. It's got to be calm, but move the ball, and then movement off the ball. You've got to be brave and want it at all times. And then there's this. This is my sort of honest take. If I'm BBM, selection thought. If Kennyman, Ruben are out, I could see BBM doing one or two things. He's going to keep the 10 or he's going to go 4-3-3, right? We've already said that. If I was picking a 10, I'd either go for Joel or I'd go for Cian Ashford, partially for the same reason. But I also think Cian gives you a real bit of guile and creativity in that 10. That is his place. But I also think Joel Colwell is very capable, and he does score goals, Joel, when you give him an opportunity to shoot. So I would go with one of them, but I've got a feeling the manager might go with Callum Robinson, which I think is a big risk. But who am I to disagree with the man? I think he's a tremendous coach and a tremendous manager, doing a tremendous job at Cardiff City. And then you've got the 4-3-3. If I was going 4-3-3, I'm going Robertson and Joel either side of Wintle, and I think that's a really good shape. Tanner and Isaac Davis wide, Salic up front. Boom, nice balance, nice combinations off, on and off the ball. And then you've got your Cian Ashfords, your Callum Robinsons, your Chris Willocks, David Turnbull, etc., to all bring in and give you composure, give you energy, give you creativity, which whatever you need, you've got an option there. And that's the reason I think Brian Barry Murphy has a selection dilemma, but a nice one to have. Bradford thrive when the game becomes messy, so I think we need to build a shape to reduce that mess. This type of game is where title teams prove what they're about. This is one of those away games when you look back after you've been promoted or you've won the league, where you look back and you think that was a massive result. You can't just turn up and play your football. You have to earn the right to play your football. You have to survive the early wave from the home team. You have to win your key duels. You have to manage the moments and the emotion of the game. And you have to be ruthless when you get your chances. Cardiff XG shows they will probably create chances. They just have to take them. The whole story of this game is create, finish, do not switch off. If you've enjoyed this tactical breakdown, please subscribe to the channel, drop a bell, like, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments. What do you think of the tactical showdown for this week? Do you think I've missed anything out? Or what element of it worries you the most? And how do you think this tactical battle will play out tomorrow lunchtime? Thank you so much. Look after yourselves. Keep the faith. And I'll see you bright and early, 9 o'clock in the morning, for 3 big questions on match day. Take it easy, my friends. In a bit. This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the Spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.